What's up, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and it looks like Jimmy Kimmel faces a federal investigation. This is what I voted for. Leave a like in the video if this is what you voted for. Enough is enough. We need to know a little bit more. Now, I don't know if he's going to go to jail or be personally charged, because I'm not sure exactly which crime you would even charge him for. But I do like the idea of a federal investigation into him, because I wonder where money comes from, where sponsors come from. I wonder who's telling him to say what. I wonder who's all of this stuff. There needs to be a precedent set here. You can have a First Amendment right, which is what Hollywood keeps saying, my First Amendment. This isn't a First Amendment issue. He wasn't fired. He wasn't fired for a First Amendment issue. He was fired because he was too expensive for the network and he was causing them all sorts of problems. He was not fired for sharing his opinion either, as the left continued to say. He was fired because he outright lied. He went on stage to his audience of 1 million plus and stated as fact, not in my opinion, he didn't say in my opinion, he stated as fact that the man that took Charlie Kirk's life was a right-wing conservative, a MAGA guy. Never did. There was no evidence for that. He just outright lied. This is why 20% of America believes that to be true, is because people like Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert just lie. I can't wait for when Colbert's back. I can't wait to hear Colbert's meltdown. By the way, huge shout out to everybody who's picking up our coffee. Everything basically is in stock there, including our fall flavors. All of it is free overnight shipping. And we've got some fall flavors up there now. Our spring flavors are on sale for $5. Our espresso, our dark roast, Ethiopian, Colombian, all free overnight shipping. Try our summer blends, the Tiger's Blood, which is undescribable. It's incredible. The Blackberry Cream too. Pick those up. CBCAmazon.com will take you right there. Charlie, Bravo, Charlie, Amazon.com. Link also in the description. Give it a try. FCC Chief Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel facing the consequences of choices to appeal to a very, very narrow audience. Well, that's true. Now Jimmy Kimmel faces a federal investigation after telling viewers that the Charlie Kirk suspect, Tyler Robinson, was MAGA, because he lied and he knowingly lied. This is why there's some people saying, oh, Jimmy Kimmel, all he has to do is apologize and he'll be back in 5 days. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Do you think ABC wants a federal investigation going on at a time while they're trying to handle yet another merger for a guy that is already losing $50 million a year, $40 million a year for them? No, they're just going to cut bait. They were going to do it anyway, probably. They were going to do it anyway, but this just makes it easier for them. Federal Communications Commission boss Brendan Carr told conservative podcaster Benny Johnson on Wednesday he is considering an investigation into Kimmel and his network ABC over remarks the host made about the Charlie Kirk's assassin, Tyler Robinson, in the wake of Kirk's murder. Prosecutors say the suspect, who is charged with taking Charlie Kirk's life at a university event in Utah, had leftist leanings. When you look at the conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible, Carr said on FCC. As you've indicated, there are several avenues here at the FCC. So there are in some ways in which I need to be a little careful, because we could be called ultimately to be a judge and see some of these claims come up. Kimmel's comments about Robinson came on Monday Night Monologue. We hit some crazy lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who took the life of Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. We don't need to score political points. And as I covered in an earlier video, they're airing a countdown, a tribute to Charlie Kirk in Jimmy Kimmel's time slot on Friday. So at least some percentage of his audience who just leave the show on at that time of day and watch whatever's on, they're going to get to meet the real Charlie Kirk, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. At one point, Benny Johnson asked Carr what kind of action he thought should be taken, proposing an on-air apology from Kimmel. I think what you said there strikes me as very reasonable, a minimal step that can be taken, Carr replied. But I don't want an on-air apology because he'll just go right back to lying. And everybody in his audience is going to know. Everybody in his audience is going to know that his apology was forced, and that it'll be with a wink and a nod. It'll be like when that guy I was suing for attacking me and calling me a Nazi had to do an apology video. You could tell he did it with a smirk on his face the whole time. So all of his people knew that I was forcing him to make that apology. And the only reason I did it is because he didn't have any money to take in court. That was the only satisfaction I could get. That'll be the apology that you get from Jimmy Kimmel. He'll be like, oh, sorry, guys. I guess he wasn't MAGA. Maybe. I don't know. The jury's still out. We don't know for sure. That's what his apology will sound like. And one thing President Trump did when he ran for office, here's he ran directly at the legacy media establishment, Carr said. He smashed a facade that they could get to control what we say, what we think, the narrative around events. Carr claimed that we're seeing a lot of consequences that are flowing from President Trump doing that. He brought up the successful bids to defund both NPR and PBS, as well as the retirement of Stephen Colbert, whose show had been canceled by CBS. Joy Reid, out at MSNBC. Terry Moran, gone from ABC and now admitting that they are biased, Carr said. Here's the clip.
You know, when you look at the conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible.
Yes.
As you've indicated, there are, avenues here for the FCC. So there are some ways in which I need to be a little bit careful, because we could be called ultimately to be a judge on some of these claims that come up. But I don't think this is an isolated incident. I mean, you go back to Representative Swalwell, and he had a tweet out last week where he was saying that, emphasizing that Charlie Kirk's killer was a straight white male from a Republican family that voted for Donald Trump. In some quarters, there's a very concerted effort to try to lie to the American people about the nature, as you indicate, of one of the most significant, newsworthy public interest acts that we've seen.
If you go to Wikipedia, it says that Charlie Kirk passed away due to a gunshot wound, not due to an assassination. These are how the left controls the narrative. There are people that believe Wikipedia is, the truth, nothing but the truth. There are people that believe Jimmy Kimmel. And again, if Jimmy Kimmel went on air and said, I believe that this is the fault of right-wing lunatics, blah, 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 he's entitled to say that. He's entitled to say, I believe that the assassin was radicalized by his parents' right-wing political views. He's allowed to say that. What he's not allowed to do on taxpayer-funded broadcasting waves is come out and lie to the American people and state as fact that this guy was MAGA. He wasn't. Everybody knew he wasn't. Jimmy Kimmel knew he wasn't, and he lied anyway.
In a long time. And what appears to be an action by Jimmy Kimmel to play into that narrative that this was somehow a MAGA or Republican motivated person. If that's what happened here with his conduct, that is really, really sick. And I've been very clear from the moment that I have become chairman of the FCC, I want to reinvigorate the public interest. And what people don't understand is that the broadcasters, and you've gotten this right, are entirely different than people that use other forms of communication. They have a license granted by us at the FCC, and that comes with it an obligation to operate in the public interest. And we can get into some ways that we've been trying to reinvigorate the public interest and some changes that we've seen. But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Yes.
These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
What kind of action would you see? At the very least,
I mean, I don't think an apology we should even be considering it. I think he should just be done. I think that's probably going to be what happens. You know, I think that that's probably going to be what happens, is that he's, you know, I don't think he's ever going to be back on air. That's the best part of this, by the way. He doesn't get to go on air and have a whinging farewell tour like Stephen Colbert. He's done. He's off the air. Oh, he could tweet it out if he wants. He can go on Colbert's show and whine and complain about it if he wants. But he doesn't get the last laugh. He doesn't get the last word. Again, Daily Mail reporting Jimmy Kimmel faces federal investigation. I mean, I don't know what crime he's committed. I'm not a lawyer. I don't think he's going to go to jail, but I think a federal investigation is warranted when this rhetoric, when you are knowingly lying to the American people and people are dying because of it. I don't think it's crazy to say, hey, maybe we should look into this a little bit. Maybe we should look into this a little bit. Maybe we should think you shouldn't be on taxpayer funded airwaves. Hey, look, Netflix wants to sign him. Great. Paramount wants to sign him to their streaming service. Great. 100% fine. 100% fine. But remember, he's on taxpayer funded airwaves. And that is what makes this a little bit different. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.